Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH Rebirth of Emperor Yang episode number 29 based on novel. So let's start. Half a month passed quietly, and the herbalist meeting was always close at hand. At this time, there were strong people from all sides gathered here in the wild ancient city. In a few days, there were more than 10.5 emperors and the most powerful people who visited the wild ancient city again. Naturally, their purpose is self-evident. They all came for the medicine refining masters meeting. It can be seen that this medicine refining masters meeting is really powerful. Creak. 2 wooden doors were slowly pushed open, and a young man in black robes walked out of them slowly. Although his age has reached middle age, Xiao Yan still keeps his appearance in his early 20s because of his strength in the semi-imperial realm. At the moment, after leaving the inn, Xiao Yan's bright eyes are straight to the center of the wild ancient city. There is the real core of the city and the gathering place of the real strong. The herbalist meeting is held there. In a few days, it will be the opening ceremony of the herbalist conference. Let's go and have a look. I don't know if there are semi-emperor level herbalists. If so, it's really interesting. A moment later, Xiao Yang's figure has also come to a bustling downtown. At the moment, in front of Xiao Yang is a huge attic that looks like a medicine tripod. This attic is the medicine refiner guild in the wild ancient city. The people who can enter are not extraordinary strength, but high-level medicine refiners. If a prosperous city like the wild ancient city wants to enter the herbalist guild, the lowest strength is the strength of fighting saints. Even if a pharmacist wants to enter, he must have the qualification to refine 8-pill. Naturally, his identity is self-evident. 8-pill refining master. Of course, under the strong support of the medicine refining guild, no one dares to violate the rules here. After all, offending the medicine refining guild is equivalent to setting up endless enemies for themselves, but no one will be stupid enough to do such a thing. Here, even if you are a semi-emperor and supreme power, although you are qualified to go in and out and be respected, if you really violate the rules here, there will still be no good fruit to eat, so the people here are more secure. Even Xiao Yang at the moment can't help but marvel at these golden clubs. The herbalist is indeed an extremely powerful group. Once united, even the powerful semi-imperialists in the outside world still have to obey other people's rules. The strength of the herbalist is obvious. As soon as he set foot in the herbalist guild, Xiao Yang was immediately surrounded by the cloud-like Danxiang gas, but here, it was obviously different from him. After special dilution, the Danxiang gas looked very fragrant, and inadvertently made people feel comfortable. Xiao Yang's entry also attracted the attention of some people, but he just looked at it and ignored Xiao Yang. Here, there are countless semi-imperial strongmen or herbalists who have to go in and out every day. Young herbalists are not without them. They are no wonder. Why bother? For this, Xiao Yang is also trying to be clean. He came here just to understand the level of the herbalist on the Yuanwu continent. He has been here for some time, but he has never learned about the herbalist, which makes Xiao Yang, who is a herbalist, a little embarrassed. He wanted to raise his feet and walk towards the interior, but a figure came towards Xiao Yang, and this person was the 3-star semi-emperor strongman who had a slap with Xiao Yang that day. Xiao Yang showed a smile when he saw someone coming. Although the old man was grumpy, he was also a person to make friends with. If he really had a good relationship with him, he could not help. Brother Yang Xiao, haha, I didn't expect you to come here. Oh, by the way, the powerful flame you use day by day. Are you also a herbalist? Before reaching the body, the rough and heroic voice of the words had been passed into Xiao Yang's ears like bursts of flood thunder, which shocked Xiao Yang's children to a roar. Light pie mouth, this guy's character really let Xiao Yang some can't stand, but still should his words nodded. Seeing that Xiao Yang really nodded, the old man couldn't help but spread a burst of praise. Looking at Xiao Yang was like looking at a monster. At such an age, it is hard to mention medicine refining and cultivation accomplishments, but it is really shocking. Brother Yang Xiao is really talented and can be called a devil. You can achieve such achievements at such an age. It seems that Brother Yang Xiao will also have a place in this medicine refining masters meeting. I can't say that Brother Yang Xiao will also become a black horse in this medicine refining masters meeting. So, I'll wish you a word here first. Xiao Yang lifted his eyes, smiled non-committally, and didn't speak. I don't know what Brother Yang Xiao is doing here at the moment. I can walk with you for a while. I also know some people here. I'll help you know them then. Hey, The old guy here has the same cultivation skills, but they can use them to refine medicine and put up a smelly rack all day. People will be unhappy to see it. Brother Yang Xiao, you should pay attention to it then. Xiao Yang smiled. He didn't need Qin Zhong to say that he also knew this kind of thing. Naturally, he knew the quirks of the herbalist. As for Qin Zhong, I'm afraid no one can be nice to see him. I'm afraid no one can have an appetite for his hot temper. Brother Qin Zhong, let's go. I haven't taken the medicine refiner badge for a long time. I'll go and have a look today. Take a badge first. It's always more convenient in the future. Qin Zhong smiled again when he heard the speech. His body moved, which was to guide Xiao Yang in front of him. With Qin Zhong's familiarity with the Herbalist Guild, Xiao Yang naturally saved a lot of time. In just a moment, they came to a hall. When they arrived here, all the originally slightly empty surroundings were surrounded by surging crowds. Their purpose was to test the power of the soul like Xiao Yang, so as to obtain the qualification of a high-level herbalist. Hey, there are a lot of people here. It's a pity that they are all little guys. They can't be mentioned on the table. I don't know. Brother Yang Xiao, how many products of medicine refiners do you want to test? I can't say I can help. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang also smiled. No matter where he went, strength is easy to use. Someone always wants to help you open a small stove. After a little thought, Xiao Yang asked, Brother Qin Zhong knows, what is the highest qualification level of a herbalist here? Although Xiao Yang's words were not loud, the people on the scene were not weak, and the worst of them were quasi-8th-grade herbalists. Naturally, all of Xiao Yang's words fell into the ears of the people present. Even the elder who was assessed couldn't help turning his eyes to Xiao Yang at the moment. After hearing this, Qin Zhong looked even more stunned. He could not imagine that Xiao Yang would say such words in public. Just when he was about to speak, the elder in charge of assessment stepped forward and smiled. I have the highest qualification here. I can reach the 9th grade senior herbalist. I don't know if you have the confidence to win it in one fell swoop. Hearing this, Xiao Yang frowned slightly, sighed and shook his head, muttering in a low voice. Jopin advanced. It's still too low. Although the voice was so low that it was almost inaudible, Qin Zhong was still heard by all under the terrible hearing of the semi-emperor strongman and the assessment elder. Jopin senior herbalist, it's too low. Xiao Yang, do you still want to assess the higher class? Jopin advanced, too low. These two people were shocked by Xiao Yang's words and completely stayed in the same place. Jopin senior herbalist, a powerful herbalist at this level, even thought he was at a low level. He didn't know whether he really had that strength or looked down on you too much. Jopin medicine refiner is a general semi-emperor strong man. After all, Jopin medicine refiner can be regarded as a real person on the table in the whole continent. But at the moment, Xiao Yang in front of them doesn't even pay attention to the 9th-grade senior herbalist. Do you really think you are a peerless wizard and can get through everything in a moment? Your strength can reach the supreme level of the half-emperor. It can only be said that your cultivation talent can be called against the sky, but you can't practice medicine all day. The strength of soul power not only needs to be improved with the improvement of strength, but also needs personal perception. Even if it is an ordinary semi-imperial strong, his soul power may not reach the soul of the imperial realm. The assessment elder doesn't think that at Xiao Yang's age, although he is a half-emperor and has soul power, how can he also reach the soul of the empire? Isn't that too rebellious? My friend, self-confidence is a good thing, but blind self-confidence becomes conceit. Otherwise, you'd better try the 9th-grade senior herbalist first. You shouldn't stand the higher class. The assessment elder is also a 9th-grade senior medicine refiner. Under Xiao Yang's words, he is obviously in a bad mood, but he still says to Xiao Yang with a smile. When Qin Zhong heard this, he couldn't help but look at the old man's peaceful speech. But this behavior seemed to want Xiao Yang to eat flat. When Xiao Yang was not qualified as a 9th-grade senior pharmacist, he was making a good mockery. This made Qin Zhong, who was very angry, couldn't stand it. He immediately snorted coldly and wanted to come forward. Xiao Yang also frowned slightly when he heard the speech. As Qin Zhong said, all the people in the Herbalist Guild are arrogant. If there is something wrong in their hearts, they all want to give it back. Xiao Yang is also too lazy to talk to him. He is a Jopin senior herbalist. Now he doesn't care about it. 10 years ago, he could refine Jopin Shendan. Now he is the emperor and a Jopin herbalist. He has long regarded it as nothing. But today, this little 9th-grade senior herbalist said such contemptuous words in front of him. Xiao Yang naturally had some dissatisfaction in his heart. With a hand, he stopped Qin Zhong, who was about to come forward. Xiao Yang walked slowly towards the elder. Everywhere Xiao Yang passed, the herbalists who were still waiting for the examination gave way. Just now, the examination elder spoke in a loud voice and deliberately let them hear it. The people at the moment want to see if Xiao Yang can be as calm as he is at the moment. They don't think that even a fledgling boy has some talents in cultivation, but if it is medicine refining, they are very unconvinced in everyone's heart. At the moment, how can this man's medicine refining be compared with those genuine pharmacists who are bent on seeking medicine refining? Everyone looked at Xiao Yang with a sneer and went to the assessment elder. When Xiao Yang ate flat, it was another scene of laughter. When he came to the examination elder, Xiao Yang was still plain. He looked at the old man in front of him without a wave in his eyes and said slowly, "According to your previous words, there should be other assessment areas here. Since you don't want me to go easily, let's say, what to test, pass it directly, so as to test higher level ones." Wow! Xiao Yang said this, but he didn't leave face for the assessment elder at all. He directly provoked, which made the assessment elder look a little ugly. Even with a cold hum, Big Sleeve pointed to a black boulder behind him and said coldly, "This is the spirit measuring stele. As long as you stick your palm on it and inject the power of your soul into it, this stele can measure your soul state and the grade of a herbalist. The highest state of this spirit measuring stele can reach the great perfection of heaven and 9-grade senior herbalists." As soon as the voice fell, the assessment elder looked at Xiao Yang coldly, then glanced at the people present, stepped aside and made way for Xiao Yang. He was also waiting for Xiao Yang to eat when he failed in the test. Casually glanced aside and looked coldly at the assessment elder. Xiao Yang was immobile, but the terrible soul power condensed from the center of his eyebrows, and he wanted to sweep away towards the spirit-measuring monument. "Brother Yang Xiao, do you really want to do this? But don't be fooled by this man on impulse." Suddenly, beside Xiao Yang's ear, Qin Zhong's rough voice with a little concern came again, which also made Xiao Yang's action pause. But then, Xiao Yang smiled again and turned around. Xiao Yang showed a reassuring smile to Qin Zhong. Both of them nodded and understood, and Qin Zhong didn't say much more. Since Xiao Yang indicated to reassure him, Xiao Yang should always have his own assurance. Although he didn't know Xiao Yang for a long time, Qin Zhong dared to conclude that as long as Xiao Yang dared to do so, he was absolutely sure. After all, isn't Li Gan the same on that day? He originally wanted to press Xiao Yang to show awe, but in the end, he was strongly pressed back by Xiao Yang, which not only made him sneer and ridicule by thousands of people, but also made an apology. Today, Xiao Yang can prove himself again. The body shape just turned around. In the center of Xiao Yang's eyebrows, the surging force of the terrible soul swept out in an instant and bombarded the spirit-measuring monument. When the power of the soul swept through the hall, everyone knelt down at the moment, suppressed by the terrible power of the soul. Even looking at Xiao Yang's assessment elder with a sneer on his face, he retreated a few steps hard at the moment, and finally supported him by his own strength of 1 star and a half emperor. Outside this hall, many people found the changes here at the moment when the power of the soul swept through them. Their faces changed suddenly, and their eyes were almost shocked. Is it difficult that a powerful person of the Medicine Refining Association is refining the top pill again? Otherwise, how can there be such a terrible momentum? Even some of the real leaders of the Medicine Refining Association looked at this side in horror, and then they moved and rushed to the hall. Click. With a crisp sound, the spirit-measuring monument hit by the power of Xiao Yang's soul was smashed and turned into rubble after holding on for less than a moment. At the moment, Qin Zhong, standing behind Xiao Yang, was also shocked to see Xiao Yang in front of him. He could not imagine that Xiao Yang's soul power would be so powerful. Jopin Senior Herbalist, as far as you are concerned, it really exists like garbage. After a long time, Qin Zhong had to smile bitterly, shake his head and sigh. Then he took a pity look at the assessment elder who was still struggling to support on one side and stopped talking. At the moment, the assessment elder also looked like a bitter gourd, and he knew in his heart that he finally met someone he shouldn't touch today. From now on, I'm afraid his good days will come to an end. The spirit measuring tablet was scrapped at one blow. Xiao Yang also took back all his soul power at will. The 8 product herbalists kneeling on the ground struggled to get up. They all looked at Xiao Yang's back with frightened eyes, but in this way, they still felt a trance in their eyes and couldn't see Xiao Yang's back completely. The world of the strong is just a residual power, but it can still make their hearts powerless. These powers are really not what they can resist. Xiao Yang's momentum dissipated. The assessment elder was also light, and his bent waist was slowly straightened up, but he didn't feel relaxed at all. There was no other reason, only because the young man in black standing in front of him, Xiao Yang's action must have alerted the people in the whole medicine refining guild. As an assessment elder, he neglected such a person. After this, the above will certainly investigate his responsibility. In order to calm his dissatisfaction, I'm afraid he won't stay in this wild ancient city in the future. One thought is to give up one's own glory and wealth. It's time to change his superior temperament. With a sigh in his heart, the assessment elder also had no choice but to shake his head and sigh, so he stood in place with a decadent face. Qin Zhong looked at the people around him with a mocking face. These guys usually look down on people. Up to now, they finally have a taste of being pressed by people. Hehe, I don't know if your visit is a neglect of my friend. I apologize to my friend on behalf of my herbalist association. Suddenly, the sound of a heroic smile suddenly broke through the air and spread in the hall, making everyone feel that a roar echoed endlessly in their ears. When Qin Zhong heard the sound, his face became solemn. With his familiarity with the wild ancient city, he naturally knew the owner of the sound. Moreover, just by his words representing the whole Medicine Refining Association, his identity has surfaced. He must be the president of the Medicine Refining Association. After hearing this, Xiao Yang also showed a smile at the corners of his mouth. The person in charge of the field finally came. In this way, Xiao Yang also saved himself and went to find it again. When I come here at the beginning of next year, I don't want to disturb my master. Just look around. As soon as Xiao Yang's voice fell, the crowd in front of him also stepped aside. 3 old figures also appeared in front of everyone. With the appearance of the 3 figures, there were bursts of shocked words in the crowd, which made the hall quiet because of Xiao Yang noisy again. Isn't this President Jiu Li and the 2 around him? Isn't it the Vice President Red Phosphorus and Elder Wei Yi, the Chief Herbalist of the Herbalist Association? Yes, the 3 of them usually see the head but not the tail. They rarely appear. Unexpectedly, today, it is because all the rock owls have come. What's the ability of this rock owl to attract all 3 to the scene? If it's spread, I'm afraid it's another shocking storm. For the noisy discussion of the crowd, the 3 elders, as the protagonists in the field, ignored them all. At the moment, their eyes fell on Xiao Yang in the front of the crowd. Haha, look at this. My friend wants to get a herbalist badge. The 3 men stopped a foot in front of Xiao Yang. The old man in sackcloth, who was the first, stroked his beard with one hand, looked at Xiao Yang with a smile on his face, and said with a laugh. Although the old man dressed casually, when Xiao Yang faced him again, he didn't dare to relax at all. Under Xiao Yang's perception, the strength of the first old man seemed to be equal to that of the split cloud wolf. I'm afraid he had a stronger breath. Yes, but it seems that your spirit measuring tablet seems to have been damaged by me. Hehe, with the strength of friends, this kind of spirit measuring monument can't bear your random blow. This time, the old man standing on the left of the first old man was dressed in brocade robes and red hair like a rising flame, and his breath was on a par with the first old man, just like another 8-star-and-a-half emperor strong man. At this moment, Xiao Yang finally understood the real strength of the Herbalist Guild. No wonder ordinary semi-imperial strong people have to be honest here. Not to mention the strong herbalists in the Herbalist Guild, just this overall strength has not lost to some super forces. When Xiao Yang's eyes turned to the shape of the badge, it looked like a medicine tripod, and there was a continuous smell of dan fragrance lingering on it. In the middle of the medicine tripod, there were 9 ripples of different colors engraved on it like a rainbow, and the 9 ripples represented the 9-grade herbalist. But on the ripple, there are 2 pills like genuine pills at the moment. If you smell them carefully, you can even find that the 2 pills like genuine pills are emitting bursts of soothing pills at the moment. Brother Yang Xiao still pays more attention to the 3rd old man. The old man's name is Wei Yi. Although his strength is not very good, his medicine refining skill is very exquisite. He is the chief medicine refiner of the Medicine Refiner Association. His grade has even reached the level of the 2nd-class medicine refiner. Because of this, he is very proud at ordinary times. You should deal with it carefully. While Xiao Yang was wearing a large number of the old man in the medicine refiner's robes, Qin Zhong's voice came again and introduced the old man to Xiao Yang. Hearing the slightly unfamiliar words in Qin Zhong's words, Xiao Yang couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Is this the level of herbalist in Yuanwu mainland? It's no different from the mainland. When Xiao Yang paid more attention to the herbalist named Wei Yi, the other party was also paying attention to him. The soul pressure released by Xiao Yang was no less powerful than him. Wei Yi knew very well that what he could become the chief herbalist of the Herbalist Association was his terrible soul power, and the emergence of Xiao Yang would inevitably become a great disaster in his heart. It can't be said that even his position as the chief herbalist was to be handed off by the two old guys in front of him. When thinking about this, Wei Yi's impression of Xiao Yang fell to the bottom in an instant. I just heard what these two said, but there are other assessment points in this herbalist guild. Xiao Yang didn't care about Wei Yi's slightly gloomy eyes. Xiao Yang saw a lot of such eyes. However, because the soul power shown by Xiao Yang just now is too strong, he is jealous, or he is afraid that Xiao Yang's talent will threaten his position as the chief herbalist of the Herbalist Guild, so he has some resentment against Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang's heart was not here. Naturally, he was too lazy to pay attention to it. He directly ignored Wei Yi's gloomy face. He turned his eyes and smiled at the first old man and the red-haired old man on his left. When they heard the speech, they smiled again. The first old man glanced at Wei Yi on the right, then looked at Xiao Yang and said with a loud smile, "This is natural. After all, the Wild Ancient City is the largest city in the southwest. Although there are few 9-grade herbalists, we are also prepared for the high-level spirit measuring monument. Otherwise, if a talent like you comes one day, we don't want to miss it." Hearing this, Xiao Yang also brightened his eyes, looked at Qin Zhong on one side, and then opened his mouth to the first old man again and said with a smile, "I don't know, but I'm lucky to go and find out. Ha ha ha, of course, with your powerful soul power, you can naturally go to the high-level spirit measuring monument, but..." The first old man's voice just fell, but he immediately opened his mouth, which also made Xiao Yang look at the first old man with a little doubt on his face. "However, please wait for me to deal with the affairs of my subordinates first. After all, there are still such unfair people in our herbalist guild. As the president, I really have a history in my heart." The voice fell, and the president ignored Xiao Yang. His face suddenly became cold and looked at the elder indifferently. At the moment, the assessment elder is as powerful as nothing. He can't lift a trace of courage in front of the president. "Why, you weren't very tough when you faced this friend before. Why, at the moment, you look like a waste." The president's eyes were cold, and his whole body was like a hidden dragon, which made the elder's face pale without any blood color, and his whole body trembled. The cold sweat all over his body wetted his clothes in an instant. "Mr. President, subordinates." "Subordinates, really?" "Yes. I don't know. Your Excellency should be such a person." "Subordinates. Subordinates will be in the future. It's late. I don't need people like you in the Herbalist Guild. From today on, you will leave my Herbalist Guild." As soon as the president's voice fell, the face of the assessment elder was as grey as death. His eyes were dull and his heart was full of unwilling intention. After being stunned for a good moment, he shouted to the president reluctantly, "President, I have done a lot for the guild for so many years. How can you let me leave today? Why do you convince the public?" "Shut up. What you did for our guild is nothing compared with the guild resources you took away." "President, hehe, I don't think it's too bad. After all, Elder Yun spent a lot of time in my herbalist guild. At least he did not contribute to it, but also worked hard. In addition, he has promoted talents for our guild in recent years. Otherwise, he will be punished to the branch guild outside." The president gave an angry rebuke and just fell down. Wei Yi behind him stepped forward, stood side by side with the president, sideways smiled and said to the president. When the president heard what Wei Yi said, he knew that Elder Yun was obviously one of Wei Yi's men, so he was so arrogant and domineering. He was also a little upset at that time. Wei Yi was not polite in front of them with his medicine refining skill. Today, the matter of Elder Yun really stimulated him. Even if he wanted to turn around and talk to Wei Yi. But the next moment, the voice of Xiao Yang's words came out of thin air again, which also made the president's current actions suddenly, and the words at his mouth were swallowed back. "President, I also think that since Elder Yun didn't commit any big things, forget it. It's just a small thing. Why go to war?" Xiao Yang smiled and said with a casual smile. And Xiao Yang's words also made Wei Yi laugh. In his opinion, Xiao Yang's behavior seems to be a sign of fear for him. It's just a soft act in order to avoid trouble, but even so, it makes Wei Yi feel comfortable in his heart. It seems that this boy is not a young and energetic man. He is just a coward. Even if he has this ability, he is just an empty treasure mountain. The Herbalist Guild is still his territory, and no one can change it. However, Xiao Yang doesn't think so in his heart. On the one hand, He does so in order to accept the good. After all, the president's biggest purpose is to calm Xiao Yang's dissatisfaction. On the other hand, he really wants to have less trouble. He is too lazy to fight with Wei Yiming. It's just a big deal. Let him do what Wei Yi thinks. The president and Red Phosphorus also understood one after another. When they looked at each other and smiled, they didn't say anything more. Instead, Qin Zhong showed more vigilance in looking at Wei Yi. After all, he was a man with a big heart and could see all these in his eyes. Hehe, well, since you have spoken, I won't say more. Come on. The president smiled at Xiao Yang, and then his face looked upright and gave a sharp drink. The whole medicine refining guild was slightly shocked. At the same time, several people in black dressed in medicine refining robes also appeared in the hall and dragged the Cloud Elder out one by one. A bunch of little rabbits, get out of here. Elder Yun's figure had just disappeared in the public sight, but the president shouted again. The full field of herbalists quickly retreated like the tide. Only a moment later, there were only 5 people left in the hall. Hehe, this is my friend. Please accompany me. Ha, well, in that case, I'll take you down to try the high-level spirit measuring monument. To tell you the truth, this thing has not been used for many years, ha. Hehe, I'm stupid. I forgot to ask your name all the way, but don't be surprised, hey. On the way forward, the president smiled and looked embarrassed. He turned to Xiao Yang and asked. Xiao Yang also smiled back and bowed his hand to the president and said, "Under the rock owl." Xiao Yang uttered a word, but the president and the 3 people looked slightly stunned, and then there was a look of surprise on their face, which was more and more unbelievable when they looked at Xiao Yang. Are you the rock owl who fought with Li Gan, the ancestor of the Li family, half a month ago? After a long time, the president continued to ask Xiao Yang with a shocked tone, and Xiao Yang smiled and nodded again. Hiss tilde. Although I had been prepared for it, when I saw Xiao Yang nodding and agreeing, the 3 present couldn't help but make a cold sound. In any case, they did not expect that the talented herbalist they saw today would be the rock owl who recently shocked the wild ancient city. Tut, but I really can't think of it. Little friend Yang Xiao is young, but he has such talent. He is not only strong, but also has made great achievements in refining medicine. He is so amazing. Little friend Yang Xiao is really a talented and gorgeous person. He is a genius. At the moment, even Kai Phosphorus, the vice president who followed the president, couldn't help but utter bursts of exclamation. Looking at Xiao Yang's eyes, it was like looking at a monster. Xiao Yang was so old that he was able to go so far in the process of cultivation and alchemy. But they had to spend their whole life to get to this point. The old guy felt ashamed in his heart. As soon as I read this, President Jiu Li and Vice President Kai Phosphorus couldn't help looking at each other, but they both saw a bitter smile from each other's eyes. Xiao Yang's excellence really made them feel bad in their heart. The same is true in the hearts of these 2 people. How can Wei Yi put it down in his heart? The more excellent Xiao Yang is, the more injustice he feels in his heart. It took me a lifetime to get to where I am now. Why can this boy in front of me get it easily? And this also makes Wei Yi's resentment more and more deep when he looks at Xiao Yang. However, if he knew how hard Xiao Yang's strength and huge drug refining details were, he must not be confident to compete with Xiao Yang anymore. There is no shortcut to choose from in the process of cultivation. Xiao Yang's achievement is only due to his tenacity and perseverance since cultivation. The hardships and life and death along the way are all experience. If Xiao Yang hadn't swallowed different fire, how could he have the strength now? But it's so easy to swallow different fire. Life and death are difficult. I don't know how much. If Xiao Yang hadn't had the perseverance to surpass ordinary people, I'm afraid he would have fallen on the road of cultivation. Xiao Yang's achievements come from his hard work with his life. Xiao Yang came by enduring the pain and suffering that ordinary people can't bear. How can Wei Yi compare this? In a moment, a group of 5 people also came to a thick black door, and the first purpose of Xiao Yang's trip was here. This advanced examination room has not been used for some years. Now when you come here, you can't help thinking of some of the previous Qianjiao leaders. Hey. Jiu Li's Hui smiled with emotion. Even though he was shocked by his momentum, he suddenly grasped his right palm. Pure fighting spirit gushed out of his palm like a spring. Then he was blasted on the black Shen Men. With a burst of energy ripples like water waves slowly spreading and opening, the surface of the black door is displayed with a light milky white light. And the Shen Men, also at the moment when this layer of milky white light appeared, slowly became illusory in this space, and finally disappeared completely. Haha, Xiao Yang, the rock owl laughs. This high-level spirit measuring monument is very important to our herbalist guild. It's also because its cost is too expensive, so we have to keep it carefully, haha. When the voice fell, the black door also completely disappeared. All that was left was an empty door hole. Jiyu Li waved his big sleeve and made an invitation gesture. Xiao Yang also smiled and looked at Qin Zhonghu. He moved first and entered it. This hall is no different from the previous examination hall, but it is not used for many years, which makes a layer of dust everywhere. Jiyu Li, who came in after him, also saw this. He couldn't help but show a bitter smile on his face. With a wave of his big sleeve, an invisible energy suddenly shot out, sweeping the dust all over the ground. Xiao Yang ignored this. His eyes fell on the dark stone tablet in the center of the hall as soon as he came into the hall. High-level spirit measuring monument. He couldn't help saying that all the people behind him had not stepped into the hall, but Xiao Yang had already come to the spirit measuring monument. Xiao Yang was already very clear about the usage of the spirit measuring tablet, but when facing this spirit measuring tablet, Xiao Yang did not dare to bombard it directly with his soul power. He could feel that there was an extremely mysterious array in the spirit measuring monument, but with his current strength, he could not explore it. I'm afraid Xiao Yang poured all his soul power into the spirit measuring monument, and the spirit measuring monument would not be damaged at all. The right palm stretched out from his sleeve. In his mind, the endless soul power like the sea turned into a surging river at this moment, and all gathered on Xiao Yang's right palm. At the same time, Xiao Yang's right palm was also slowly attached to the spirit measuring monument. In one instant, Xiao Yang's eyes, which had just been slightly closed, suddenly opened in the next moment. The spirit measuring monument was like a water pump, pulling Xiao Yang's river-like soul power out of his body in an instant. At this moment, Xiao Yang couldn't help feeling dizzy in his mind and his whole body seemed to fall down in an instant. Let Xiao Yang step back half a step. When Xiao Yang withdrew, the surging soul power also returned to Xiao Yang's body again. Xiao Yang also instantly regained consciousness, stabilized his retreating body, and looked at the spirit measuring monument years ago with lingering fear on his face. The next moment, in Xiao Yang's eyes, 4 golden characters slowly emerged. Emperor Level 2. This video will end here.